Good evening to our viewers. Once again, we welcome you to the National Crime Prevention Program's webinar series, Keeping Our Communities and Families Safe. This is the 7th of 8 sessions, which will conclude this Wednesday, July 8th. Please visit our YouTube channel at NCPP TNT to view previous sessions. I am Betty Ann Moses, the Corporate Communications Officer for the National Crime Prevention Program. Today, we will continue the second segment on the topic Personal, Home, and Business Security. The National Crime Prevention Program is designed to engage, educate, and empower persons to work together in order to achieve safer and more resilient communities. Empowered communities are safer with an improved quality of life. What we have learned from the last session is that safe neighborhoods are not made, but rather they are built by persons who live and work in them. Therefore, it is important for us to be educated on what we can and how we can get involved for the safety and security of our families, our homes, vehicles, and businesses, as well as in the workplace or when commuting. This is a call to action for the creation of a national culture of crime prevention. Today, we will continue the discussion with a focus on business security. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Sergeant J.C. Small will not be with us, but we have our very competent and capable featured speaker, Mr. Darren Carmichael. Mr. Carmichael is a security advisor with one of the region's largest security firms. He's a public safety and operational risk management professional with over 30 years experience in the fields of corporate security, fraud risk management, and operational risk. He's a certified fraud examiner and trainer with training experience in several disciplines spanning the entire security spectrum. Mr. Carmichael is the founder and executive director of Community Defense Services Limited, which is dedicated to spreading public safety and security awareness through its groundbreaking community outreach program called CSAFE. He is the recipient of a Hummingbird Medal for his commitment to public safety initiative through the Neighborhood Crime Watch program under the auspices of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce. He is also a director of Crime Stoppers Trinidad and Tobago. As we begin, please feel free to post your questions and comments at any point during the presentation, and at the end, time permitting, we will seek to answer most of them. Through education and public awareness strategies, the NCPP hopes to foster a culture of civic responsibility and lawfulness. We cannot do it alone, but we can do it together. To further this very important discussion on personal, home, and business security, I now invite Mr. Darren Carmichael to make his presentation.
Okay, good day everyone. I hope you are hearing me. It's a pleasure to be here again. Today we're going to jump straight into it, and of course we heard the apologies from Sergeant Small, who really intended to be here to share this week's segment with me, but nonetheless we are able to proceed, and he's there with you in spirit. In fact, he's listening as I'm told. Okay, so today we're going to just do a quick recap, a brief recap of what was done at the last session on the first. And really what I want you all to do for me is we'll spend about a few seconds. Those of you who have the link, whether you're on your mobile phone or your computer, I want you to take the link, copy, paste it, and share it to as many people as you can. Okay, spend a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes if need be, to please share the link, because you may have someone who owns a business who may have been victim to robbery, different types of crimes that businesses suffer. So whether it's a mom and pop shop, whether it's your nail tech, whether it's your barber, it could be the greengrocer, whomever you feel has a business. This session is 50% dedicated to those persons or anyone else who is interested in their own personal safety. So we have some personal safety and security tips towards the end, and of course then we'll field as many questions as we can. Okay, so please get out there, share the link as best as possible. Okay, to recap a little bit about what we would have done last week, we would remember we would have talked primarily about how to set up a neighborhood watch group. How do you set up a watch group, what it entails, what support you can get from organizations like myself, Community Defense, on the CSAFE program, The chambers would assist. There are a number of entities, and primary to all of them is the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and other law enforcement bodies that support that. Okay, so you want to make sure that you understand that. I would have also mentioned in there that I'm part of the Crime Stoppers program, and you know Crime Stoppers is 800 tips, and that's 800-8477. It's an anonymous, it's toll free. We do not need to know who you are, we just need the information. We take calls from persons who feel probably fearful of giving the information through the normal sources to the police and so on. And then we take those calls, we in turn pass it on to the police, and they investigate and deal with the matter and so on. And of course, in that process, everything you say to us is confidential. We don't take any information about your person at all. And you have an opportunity to get a reward for the information that you give. A lot of people don't come for the reward because they realize it's the right thing to do. Okay, so we want to employ you to do those things. And while I'm talking, I hope you're sharing that link, right, to all the people you concerned. And of course, part of what we're talking about today as well is about personal safety. Okay, so we're going to walk you through a lot of different scenarios in terms of how you can help better keep yourself safe from harm and injury by the things that you do and the way you adapt yourself to certain circumstances and so on. All right. Before we get into it, we talked a lot about neighborhood watch last week. All right. I want to go back a little bit. For those of you who are listening in and so on, I want you to sing this song with me. I can't sing too well, so you need to help. Okay. And we start 1, 2, 3. Who are the people in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood? In your neighborhood? Say, who are the people in your neighborhood? They're the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. They're the people that you meet each day. Okay, I won't go any high note. All right. Why am I telling you this? A lot of us live in communities. I've lived in communities and are living in communities. Some of us for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. There are some communities that are 45 years old and more, right? And during my time doing these neighborhood watch group meetings, I encounter all those type of communities. But you know what? In almost everyone, when we sit, and this is pre-COVID primarily, when we sat in numbers, sometimes we have at least 50, 60, 100 people attending meetings sometimes. But even when we have 10 people attending a meeting, I can always find that one person who nobody in the crowd knows. They've been living there probably just as long, but they're not known to any of the neighbors. They probably see them passing, but they didn't know the name. So the song, Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood, it should be of concern to us because we need to know who our neighbors are. We need to know their names. We need to know, where they live, and not necessarily what they do and mind their business particularly, but we want to be sure that we have a good sense of who they are. And we build on that by having those relationships, those meetings, those kind of interactions and social gatherings that are necessary to make sure that we are the best neighbors possible. All right? Crime goes down, crime ceases to exist where good neighbors come together and do something about it. So a lot of what I'm talking about, I've been speaking about, is about you building that relationship with your neighbor, building that bond and that trust with your neighbor so that they can look out for you, and similarly, you can look out for them. All right? The thing is, when you look at a community that is 30 and 40 years old, 30 years, 25 years in the penal system is considered life imprisonment. So I'm putting it to all of you who've been living in these communities 25 years plus, right? Get real. You all are doing life together. You and every single neighbor along that street, in that community, you're doing life together. And one of the things we need to learn very quickly when we're doing life together is that we need to come together in the spirit of cooperation and for the betterment of the entire community. Yes, there will be some people who fall short. There'll be some people who are, unwanted within the groups and so on. And we can quickly identify those miscreants, those people who just not fitting in and run afoul of the law and so on. So of course we leave them out of it. Many times we have WhatsApp groups and so on, like I mentioned last week, and we have to leave people out of the WhatsApp chat because of the type of behaviors that they exhibit, which are contrary to what we want in terms of being members of this organization. All right. So of course there'll be the one or two neighbors that you'd have to leave out, but certainly everyone else should be known, right? And particularly you within your space, you need to know the neighbor opposite the road to you, obliquely to the left and to the right of that person, the ones immediately to your left and right on the same side of the street, and certainly those behind you, as well if they are neighbors behind. Once you concentrate on knowing those and everybody else along the street, get to know everybody else, we'll get a sense of everyone who is there to help us, what they can do, what they can bring to the table, and how they can assist. And by doing that, we're in a better position, particularly when we identify suspicious people, suspicious vehicles, to quickly identify whether they are part of the community or not. All right, which makes our job much easier, which makes the police work very easy as well. Okay, so we're going to get into it this week. We're going to talk to people who, probably some of the same people who would have been there last week are here again today. And we will talk about Business Crime Watch. It's a new, a sort of new incarnation of the program. And simply because we have been getting a lot of information coming from communities, particularly the business persons within the communities, that they're being victimized, that they're being targeted, that the criminal elements are really distressing their livelihood. All right. And we saw the need that if we have a neighborhood watch in a particular community, there is no reason why we can't have a similar program, the Business Watch. And the only difference really is that the neighborhood watch is made up of residents living in the community, and the Business Watch normally target a line of businesses, probably on the main street, or businesses that incorporate inside streets and so on, that incorporate the entire area. Now, what we have always done is wherever there's a business, a little mom and pop shop or so within a community, those persons attend the regular neighborhood watch meeting because they are in fact part of that street, part of that community. The Business Watch is geared towards more the built up areas where there are a lot of businesses, business malls, strips and so on. And we target those businesses because if they come together, similarly like how the residents come together, we will achieve the same objectives for the business persons. So if you're a business owner, an operator, manager, and you are listening to the program, we hope that some of this will guide you in terms of what you need to do next to help make yourself and your business less of a target. So we jump into it. As usual, what we do and all of what we've been doing across the country for the last 20 plus years is in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We have support from Crime Stoppers Trinidad and Tobago and the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber, which is the primary body that started the Neighborhood Watch program back then, is still there supporting us and very much in the forefront of a lot of what we do. Okay. CSAFE, as we would have mentioned last week, I won't go into detail. It was really just Neighborhood Watch. It's an initiative geared towards spreading the word of Neighborhood Watch, but we do a little bit more than the regular watch would do. We support you throughout the process. We guide you in terms of how to set it up, how to get it started. We initiate the program with you and other neighbors, and we teach you all the rudiments you need to know, which is not much, it's not onerous, but we tell you all that you need to do to get started. All right, and once you're started, we bring the crime stats and the different things that would happen over a period of time to show you how well you've done by establishing the watch group. And of course, you'll see the benefit in terms of the crimes going down and the support that you'd normally get from the other services like the police and so on. Okay, so this is what CSAFE is. We also look at the platform which you use. So we look at WhatsApp, emails. We introduced Zello, which I mentioned last week, and I'll mention it again later in the program. All these things are tools that we use so that we can make our lives easier and work with the 20th century where communication is key. Right, and there are many ways to communicate now, so we use all of them to our advantage in this program. If the criminals can use it, so can we. Okay, we talked briefly, and I'll mention it. The pillars on which we stand is that we work with neighborhood watch groups and business crime watch groups. We look at situational awareness training, and you're going to get in the later half of this program. We're going to talk to you a little bit about your personal safety, which is some training that you'll get. We look at the risk assessment, community-based risk assessments. We identify those loopholes and those vulnerabilities within communities which give rise to the issues that may happen. Businesses can do the same within their business area. Okay, there are vulnerabilities, there are threats and so on that businesses face that they need to also look at just like the residents do. Okay, and of course we have training and resources that we make available to persons who need to get that. We always tell people we put up signage, and the signage is important because what it says that this community is alive and well, and we practice good neighborhood behaviors. We also have a security system in place in case we are being victimized, and of course communities around the country that have those signs up, right? It's a very clear message to the criminals, better pickings next door. Okay, go in some other neighborhood to try your nonsense. Okay, and that's basically what it says. We do the See Safe moment, and that is really where we go into your communities and into businesses particularly, and spend a 15 minutes before they open or during lunch, the lunch break, half an hour, and we talk to them briefly about what is security, what is good security, what are some of the personal things that they can do to make themselves less of a target. It's a short, brief session, but it's well worth it, especially if you care about your staff and so on. So we encourage persons to avail themselves of that type of training as well. We look at target hardening measures. One of the things that is critical, we could hold hands and sing Kumbaya all we want. At the end of the day, some of us leave home. And if you look at some communities, at least 50–60% of the homes are vacant during the daytime. So, there's an argument that a lot of people have thinking that they need security or they need patrols more between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Okay, some of the crime statistics will beg to differ in that a lot of the things are happening 11 o'clock at morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all right, and so on. So we need to be mindful that there's no real time or no specific time when someone strikes, particularly they may strike when you're not at home. All right, so target hardening measures such as cameras, alarm systems, and so on is necessary to at least complement some of the other things that we are asking you to do. Okay, so again, we look at all of these things, whether it's alarm systems, packages. Last week, Mr. Small spoke to you in length about asset registration and identification. It's important that you document your assets. Document all the things that you have at your home. Take the serial numbers. Make sure we say put it onto Excel spreadsheet. So you put the name, the item, the value, and so on, and any peculiar marks that you may have. So apart from the serial number, we also ask you to put your own identification, your own initials or something in the script part of the so if it's a laptop, you open up the back cover by the battery and you engrave something on it if need be. All right, that way you can tell the police that the laptop is a Dell so-and-so model, whatever it is, serial number XYZ, and there's a particular mark that you placed in a hidden spot within the equipment, the item. All right, so that's important. So you identify. So if and when, God forbid, there's a break-in, you can tell the police clearly what is missing, clearly what the value is. And of course, if ever things are found, which often happens, you don't just see a desk with a set of items where the police is asking the public to come in to identify these things. They're able to identify the owners because people will have markings on them. So anyone with a break-in will say exactly what it is so they can match the found items with the items that have been recovered. It also plays good for the criminals as well, because it's not about just being found with items on lawful possession anymore. It might very well be that they're being charged for break-in, robbery, larceny, even murder, depending on where the item was recovered and what scenario presented itself when it was taken. Okay, so we want to be able to give those persons found with stolen items the maximum allowable in law, and we can only do that if it's identifiable where those items came from, and you, my dear friends, are the ones who can make it happen. Okay, so you see how long I spent on that alone, eh? So we wanted to mark your items, and we also mentioned something that you can easily do now with your cell phones. A lot of us don't know how to find the IMEI number. That's the identifiable number that is unique to every single cell phone on the planet. Okay, so if you have a moment now, take off your phones. Don't get disconnected. Some of you are not so tech savvy, so we don't want to get you disconnected. So you might want to leave it till after. Jot down this for me. Go to your dial pad, and if you can do it with me. If you can go to your dial pad, right, and you type in star number sign 06 number sign. I repeat, star number sign 06 number sign. From the time you hit send or dial, something will come up. where there is a barcode with some numbers or so. If you have two SIMs, you'll see two numbers, right? Because there are two IMEI numbers assigned to those two SIMs, okay? What you'll do for me now is you take a screenshot of that, okay? Don't overcomplicate it. That is how you find it. If you can't take the screenshot, don't go into all of that, right? But take a screenshot and WhatsApp it to yourself or whatever you want to do. Email it to yourself and let that be in cyberspace. Don't keep it anywhere. Send it out in an email so that email could always be retrieved. If it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you just pull up whatever you save it as, and you'll be able to find that email. The list that you'll prepare as well with all the items you own, email it to yourself as well so that it's out there. So in case they steal the laptop that you type it on or the computer that it's typed on, you don't lose the information. All right, so please do that for me. And of course, we look at a number of other things in terms of training and so on that will make you less of a target. That's why we call it target hardening. We make you less of a target, right? Because a lot of us walk around with signs on our back saying, rob me. What we want to do by this training program and all the CSAFE information we share is about making you less attractive. Some of you spend 10, 15 years making your homes very attractive, increasing the property value, okay, making it pleasant to look at in the community. Today, for the next hour, I'm going to talk to you about how you make your business or how you make your home unattractive. And it's not unattractive to the buyer or the visitor or the customer. We're talking about making your home or your business unattractive to the criminal element. They must see it as taboo to try to enter your premises or enter your community and do anything wrong. And that is how we're going to look at this picture in terms of the things we can do to make us unattractive to the criminal element, okay? We look at crime statistics, and the crime statistics are important because what it does is lets us know where we are, where we stand. So a lot of the times in these new communities, we get a sense of what are the things that have been happening in the community, what are the instances that have grown familiar with, what is plaguing the community, and what we do, we literally target reduction of some of those type of crimes, all right? So we tell you all the things you need to do to prevent the guy from stealing Zabeka off the tree, or from breaking into your backyard, or from breaking into your home, or from stealing vehicles from the community and so on. So we tell you all these things, and therefore it is automatic that once we do all these things and we apply all these tactics and so on, the crime automatically goes down. So everywhere there's a neighborhood watching effect, crime goes down. And even if crime rears its ugly head again, I see in some of the chats and some of the responses that the community very well knows how to deal with it, what they need to do, and how effective they need to be in sharing information and bringing those statistics back down. So it works, all right? So we see eventually an improvement in the statistics, and that's why stats are important. It's a measurement to know where we were and where we are. So we know that we've improved, we know that the system is working, and I can stay here and sit with all certainty that the Neighborhood Crime Watch and the Business Crime Watch programs are geared towards reducing crime, and it works. Okay. We also have a 24-hour call center number 800 SAFE. We'll talk more about that as it evolves some more, but certainly this number has been donated by TSTT, and we're pretty grateful for them. So anybody from TSTT listening to me, thank you very much. It's a number that has been used overwhelmingly so by a lot of persons, and it's about calling for information and some guidance and so on. Right? We're in a transition period right now. So the number is down, but as soon as it's back up, we let our membership know so that they can avail themselves to real-time information and communication and so on. All right, so that's where we are. And the final thing I just want to mention, which is the final pillar of what we've been doing, is the CSAFE app. There's an app called CSAFE, C-S-A-F-E, and CSAFE really stands for Communicating Security Awareness for Everyone. Exactly what I'm doing here, right? And this is being facilitated by the National Crime Prevention Program. We're pretty happy that they've come on board and doing a series of these programs, all right, where they enlighten you, the public, in terms of what is out there, what you need to know to be able to better prepare yourself. And it's all geared towards multiple disciplines of crime prevention, all right? So the CSAFE app, it's out there on all three platforms, Windows, Android, and iPhone, all right? Please download it now. I said last time, and I mean it, the first person to download the CSAFE app, counting to 10 now, will get a free iPhone 20X whenever it comes out. Okay, so if I'm alive, check me. Let me know that you're one of the first 10 to download it, and certainly the iPhone X 20X would be yours. All right. So we have the app, and I'm just going to quickly show you. If you visit the App Store, search for Community Defense or look for the word CSafe, you'll see the app. Looks just like that in the picture. Download it. You'll have a little gear in the top right-hand corner. It enables you to build out your profile, and then it will ask you to send a message to ensure that the phone is receiving our messages and so on. So once you do that, you're in a position to then navigate the app. There's a tutorial that would walk you through it and so on. In there, we have missing persons, wanted persons, stolen vehicles, a lot of information about programs and so on. So there's a lot to share. Please, again, download the app and utilize that free service that you're getting through that app. Okay? So we're going to talk now about the Business Crime Watch and what it's about. Right? So crime is the #1 concern. So whether you're in a residence or whether you're a business owner, crime is the #1 concern that is plaguing most communities. Businesses and business owners are the ones to be most likely to target, and it makes sense. The criminals are looking for easy money or easy opportunistic, whether it's to steal items, to sell, to trade, whatever it is. The point is businesses have that. It's sitting there, and the criminals know that, and you know that. So what we want to do is to find ways and means that we can treat with that. So typically, some of the losses that are suffered by businesses, and it's not really a full list of all, but we have robberies and hold-ups. We've been seeing a lot of that, especially in those supermarkets where the security may not be up to standard. The activities around the supermarket or the business may not be such that it's a deterrent to the would-be criminal. And you know, all of these things that we've seen and the operations and so on lend itself to probably easy robberies. And that's what the criminal sees. That's through the eyes of the criminal. We want to turn that around. So a lot of the times we look at what is taking place and we try to identify ways and means that we can put a stopgap in place to treat with it. You may have break-ins, right? At nights we have been hearing people in Port of Spain and Arima and different areas where criminals go through the roofs and break into places and so on and steal other stuff and so on. And then there's also the breakout. Some people may say, what is a breakout? Is a new dance? No, it's not. All right. The breakouts are when you have a department store, some large place, like a mall or some place like that, where the criminals can come in during regular business hours and they can secrete themselves in a maintenance room, in a washroom, some kind of closet space, or secrete themselves behind some sort of display or something, and they remain there until the business premises close. And once it is closed, they now have the free rein between 6 and 6 a.m. to find whatever they want to do, break into safes, do whatever they need. And then what happens is, whenever they complete what they're doing, they find a vulnerable or weak point through which they can break out. Okay, so it is in fact breaking, but they find themselves in while the business is open. It's just a unique term. Okay, so what that beckons us to do if we own businesses is do a sweep, right? Some of us may have a very simple 800 square foot or less than that piece of property, but if you have larger area and larger space and so on, especially if the public may have access to an open door into the back room or the back office or some closet or so, we need to do a sweep to make sure and check those areas carefully. All right, so it's important that we think on that when we're locking up at nights and so on. Right, we also have theft. Theft basically from, you know, you have a hardware and, you know, you may have things that are on the premises. Just a gate or a wall might be stopping somebody from accessing, whether it's your bricks or your sand or your bags of cement, whatever it might be. Or you may have a place that, you know, there are things that people can move with, whether it's furniture from an open door restaurant or whatever it might be. So you have a lot of theft taking place. We may have people stealing night deposits from persons who you give those bags to go and deposit. Now, we are not one to encourage you as business people to put any of the employees' lives at risk by giving them a night deposit bag to walk to the bank or the deposit facility to drop that deposit. A lot of the times the criminal elements observe. Sometimes it's an internal job where people who have been doing it and you fire them or they're now doing it and so on. You know, there's a lot of risk you take as a business owner to get that deposit to the night safe, right? So what do? You contact us and we can find solutions for you that would make that easier or, you know, simpler on you, and of course very cost effective at the same time. So we have a lot of theft that take place. as business owners, you experience that. You also experience shoplifting, a very common phenomenon. All right. And a lot of the times, if you're a supermarket or so, there are some big ticket items that always go missing, whether it's the baby formula, the Pampers, the alcohol, there are some high value stuff like shaving equipment and so on, $115 for a pack of razors, that's another crime in itself. But, for those of us who, go or own businesses, we have a fair sense of the big ticket items that go missing and go missing quite often. So we want to find a way to work with you to limit or minimize the risk in those areas as well. Okay, so those are things that we can look at as well. Losses due to shrinkage, and shrinkage is the same thing, but it's more or less from internal sources now. This is where you have these sweetheart deals where your employees cash their brothers and sisters and don't check out certain items that they go with. All right, so it's a kind of friend and family sort of a crime, but certainly there's a lot of other means where people delivering goods sometimes deliver short goods, and you check it off, or your employees check it off as a complete order. All right, so there are a number of things that can happen in there, and if you understand how much losses you have in terms of shrinkage, right, then you would realize that putting good security in place is sometimes way cheaper than continuing to have those losses due to shrinkage year in, year out. Okay. Then there's of course the fraud, which is credit card fraud, counterfeit currency that might be passed in your business, and check fraud. Right. So we have ways and means again to guide and advise you in terms of what you need to do to make yourself less of a target. All of these things are some of the things. It's not the full list, and of course there are some businesses based on where they are, based on what activities they may have been involved in, and so on, may be subject to extortion. Extortive tactics by criminal elements who sometimes put fear in you and cause you to pay them money every month or every week, sort of like a kind of, basically it's extortion. I don't want to go into the different the terms of terminology, but it's extortion. That's what the law says it is, all right? So we have ways and means to guide you or help you along those lines as well. So look out for all of those things. So we want you to understand that whatever your situation, you need to be working closely with a group or with a group of people, because they may be suffering the same thing, and together you can come up with a collective solution to it, right? Business Crime Watch is really a crime prevention program that, just like the Neighborhood Watch, it enlists the active participation of business owners, managers, operators, employees, etc., in cooperation with the police to help reduce crime within their work environment. The police would love the communities to come together, because instead of having to respond to crime as they do now, it might be better to help treat with a proactive approach that works, so that we can help minimize the impact of the crime within the community, give the police less work to be running around the place with, and we treat it in a more proactive way. So that's the major value and benefit of this. Of course, just like Neighborhood Watch, the Business Watch, right, involves owners and operators uniting to become the eyes and ears of law enforcement. Okay, you will be seeing things, you'll be observing, as is the case now. There are a lot of businesses that see a strange vehicle parked up for an undue length of time in their car park or in a neighboring street. Okay, and all that person is doing is watching and observing probably. So an early notification to the police before they do anything wrong could solve several crimes, not only the crimes that they intended to commit, but certainly the ones that they may be wanted for currently. Okay, so it's important to identify persons like that, vehicles like that, that are making wrongs, that are passing and being suspicious. So you have to work with the security officers that may be stationed at your business, because oftentimes they're the one who are looking out at the street, at people passing by and so on, and they may be able to identify suspicious activity and report it to you, that you can take the necessary action. So by watching, listening, and reporting suspicious activity, you, the business owner, you help reduce crime within your business community, and that's critical. How does business benefit you? Of course, it helps you protect your business and your employees, straight up. Okay, it provides a networking system. So much like Neighborhood Watch, we build out the same WhatsApp chat groups, but with business owners. And in one business, you may have the manager, the owner, another partner, the security person, depending on how deep you want to take it. But you can have a number of persons for that one business on a chat, so that they can get the information and the actions that all the community is experiencing in terms of preventive or proactive methods and so on. So it provides that networking system between the businesses that quickly and accurately disseminates information about things that you need to be mindful of. It establishes partnerships, promote good communication and understanding between local businesses. In fact, most times it involves the business associations that cover that district or that area, and of course the police. All right. It actively reduces crime through this cooperation, and of course the type of education and training that will go along with you establishing your own group. So, I mean, just those 4 points alone are reason enough for us to be getting calls about you wanting to establish your own group in short order, so to speak. Okay. Now, when you start a business watch, you take an important step towards safer environment, a safer environment for yourself and your loved ones, because as business owners, you are a prime target as well, because they see you as someone who's in the money, so to speak. You look after your employees and the welfare of your employees, and that's critical because your business strives on having employees come out every day in good health. So you look after your employees by taking these measures. Of course, you protect your customers, that's a natural default, and your community as a whole will benefit because you are now able to conduct business, carry it out, and sometimes the cost of security often drives the cost of commodities that you sell up. So by having a proper proactive system in place, hopefully we keep the crime down, we keep the losses down, and you're able to now extend that savings onto your customers in reduced prices and services and so on. So there are immediate wins all around when we have a well-secure business strip, a well-secure area. So our business philosophy is straightforward. We will let you know that taking control of what happens in your business and your community, right, lessens the chances of you becoming a victim. Okay, so we ask you to now take control of that. Some of the fundamental principles by which we operate is, of course, we encourage and enhance cooperation. There's no competition. It doesn't matter whether you sell the same commodities or the same items. It's not a competitive thing. Coming together to target the criminal element is about us establishing the thing, strength in numbers. Because sometimes the criminals do that, They operate the strength in numbers against us. And really, I cannot see how 10 of them can really overpower, subdue, cripple 10,000 of us. All right? There's no way that might work out. So we want, as the 10,000 strong, to cooperate, work together, and of course, encourage that spirit of cooperation among ourselves and with the police. It teaches us how to crime-proof our property against the criminal element and watch over neighboring business as well. So similarly, like I would tell you, you need to look out for your neighbor to the front, to the side, obliquely opposite, and so on. As a business owner, you do the same. You look over the road at the next business, to the left, to the right, anything you see untoward, you may be closing up shop and realize a vehicle is parked, looking suspicious in a neighbor's property. Don't just drive off and leave them to fend for themselves. In a good, working, functional program, we put that call through because they have the number and let them know what we observe. We share it in the chat so other people will know. And of course, the police then gets wind of it, right? Because the police, like we said, is also part of most of, if not all of these chat groups. So it's important that we remember that, okay? So we teach each other how to crime-proof, document, and report suspicious activity. Another fundamental principle is that we develop a telephone log, a contact list, right? We create the WhatsApp emergency chat group, and that word emergency is critical because it's not a chat group where you advertise what you're selling. I would have sent out this particular webinar on my chat group, and to some extent I'm breaking my own laws because it's not an emergency, but I say because it's me, the groups won't be upset, but certainly we don't want anything other than emergency information being shared, and anything relative to the solving or the police making an arrest has to be shared within those groups. So we keep the chain letters, the prayers, the politics, the everything out of it, and we treat only with the emergency type information in those groups. So once you're in it, you don't get bombarded with unnecessary information coming at you day in, day out. And we have an email distribution list that we create as well for other things that we may want to share, less emergency type things. And of course, all of these things are disseminated in real time to the participants. All right, and that's important. The important thing with this as well is that much like the neighborhood watch groups, if you belong to neighborhood watch group A, neighborhood watch group B, and neighborhood watch group C may not know what A or B or C vice versa is doing. But because we have one central repository, which is our program and the police, because we belong to all the chat groups, we can then share information about a particular modus operandi, a particular kind of vehicle, or particular crime taking place in one area. We can then share it over the 1,000 different groups that are part of the program. So everyone knows to look out for this vehicle. Is like a bolo, a broadcast, what they call what the police would tend to call a 9, that emergency type thing that you send out, right? Where you broadcast a number so that the police could be in hot pursuit, that type of thing. So we can do that now within these groups quite successfully because we now have a mechanism to reach people. So if you're not part of a neighborhood watch group now today, providing you're not a criminal, let's just put a disclaimer in, right? You should make yourself available. Let them know you're there. Let them know you're in the community and get yourself on board. All right. So we do that. All right. So we have that. Now we also develop signals to activate in and around adjacent businesses when we want to call for help. So much like the neighborhood crime watch, the residents, we have a air horn. We may have an alarm that we trigger. We ask people to send off the car alarms, the home alarms, turn on the lights. There's a whole host of activities that take place if someone is in the community doing harm to any one neighbor. It's the same concept that exists, the same principle that exists with businesses, except that it may be more formal. So it will take the formal look of a nice pole with a siren, with some strobe lights and so on, with cameras and that type of thing that can be erected quite easily and quite cost effectively in these business strips and these business areas where you can warn other people about things that are happening. Many businesses have what you call alarm systems already that may or may not ring to a central monitoring station. Okay, this is also encouraged where you can have a silent alarm because not always the circumstance would allow you to trigger a loud siren. You might bring harm to yourself if you do that. So we allow you to trigger a panic button, a silent alarm that would ring out into your call center, and they have actions that they will take to make sure that the business is in fact experiencing some sort of threat that is immediate, and the police is then summoned or the response from that company may come. All right. So all of these things are things that we can work with and develop with you to make your lot easy. All right. So like Neighborhood Watch, Business Watch is not about us confronting or arresting suspects. If you have security in your establishment or you can call the police, that is their job. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't be a vigilante. All right. This is about being vigilant, not vigilante. All right. So we always encourage you to take the right steps and do everything from a safe distance so that you don't bring any harm to any one of your employees or to yourself as a business owner. As a partner in this group, the police job is to do exactly that. Okay. So some of the examples of crimes, like I said, that are deterred once we set ourselves up in a proper group is the burglaries, the robberies, the theft, smash and grabs, assault, kidnapping, fraud, and other type of serious crimes that are caused by businesses being victimized. Okay. So we want to be sure that we take all the precautions that we can, all the legitimate precautions that we can by just applying some of these basic tenets to operations. All right. So moving on, I hope you all are following me. All right. Yeah, I kind of running through it fast because this is not really an actual teaching exercise. It's about introducing the program and some of the things that we do, so you're able to avail yourself and make yourselves known to us, so we can then target, get that interaction with you going. So in a successful Business Watch program, there are people with some responsibilities. The police service, and the police service role is to educate, inform, respond, share vital information with you about things that are happening. The crime statistics come from the police. There are opportunities where you can report crime online through an app. And I want you all to test it if you have information and so on. Make sure it works. Get yourself familiar with the technology of today. It's good that we have all these simple ways in which we can report crime now, so that it makes the job of us doing our civic duty of letting the police know what is happening a reality. Okay. The Business Watch captains, in every group, there are people who have
stood to the front and will take responsibility for making sure that they add the other members, that they canvass the area, that they make sure that everyone within the business trip is on board, and bring them into the fold, so that if you have, the more eyes you have watching over this program, the better it is for reducing crime. So we want to applaud those persons who have taken the leadership role to help form and set up these watch groups, and they're the captains who look after it. The business owners, operators, as you have a role to play in that. You become a part, you become the eyes and ears of your own business, and you build a relationship with all your other businesses on this trip. And of course, you get that information flowing, because information, intelligence is what will drive the criminals out once we get to know who they are and what they're about. Okay, so you have a role. There are some business associations, and I want to mention again, the Tunapuna Business Association has done a yeoman's job in helping to pull the Tunapuna district into it, right? So a lot of the businesses within the Tunapuna district, if you're not, you can contact someone from the police, the station council at the Tunapuna police station, all right? They've done a good job in really getting that one off the ground and getting it active, right? And, you know, so the associations have a role to play. Sorry, excuse me. And a lot of the other business groups have a role to play in making sure that the thing functions as it should. The station councils, it was mentioned last week by Sergeant Small, and I'll just reiterate again, every police station is mandated to have what you call a station council meeting. And that meeting is held normally once a month. It could be the last Tuesday, whatever day. It is upon you to find out when your station council meeting is in the district that you operate, and attend it, attend one, so that you get a sense of what it's about. Because at these station council meetings, and if you're a resident again, and you may be the captain of a neighborhood watch group, you can do the same. So at these meetings, a lot of people from within the community attend, the school principals, the taxi drivers, the school crossing guard, everybody who has a role within the community more or less attends, even the representatives attend. All right, and that way, whatever your issue within the community, in your case, it will be security related. It could be other purposes as well, right? That information is raised and it's dealt with at those station council meetings. All right, and you get a chance. I look at that. We look at it as you get an opportunity, 12 months in the year, to tell the police how you want to be policed. Don't pass that opportunity up. Okay, so whatever your needs are in terms of policing within the community, within the district. Once it's not unreasonable, I'm guaranteeing you sure that the station council, the sergeant in charge of the division and so on would address it or would escalate it if it need to be. All right, and we will have some kind of result, because that's what the council is there to hold them accountable as well, to give feedback and share that information. So make yourselves part of those councils. It's quite important. Okay, so some of the objectives is, of course, we make the community safer through greater involvement. All right. And we want to be able to do that with the police, the stakeholders, the station council meetings, support for community security initiatives. A lot of that takes place, again, where you identify persons within the community that may be requiring help, maybe requiring donations, maybe requiring some kind of support. As a community, you can support them. And in turn, it redounds to your benefit, because they support you, they support your business. Information sharing, crime reports, being witnesses, especially if you experience crime, is critical. It involves us maintaining the watch. So not only building it out and having it there to say you're a member, as a lot of you all are members of a whole host of things, but you don't participate. We want you to be an active member in this one, because actively we observe, we see, and we report. It's an ongoing daily occurrence. It's a daily chore. All right. So we don't ever stop watching, observing, and sharing information. Okay. The third point is that we teach you how to make it your business, like I said, less inviting to the criminals. Whether it's installing quality locking devices, electronic locks, restricted access, whatever it might be quality exterior lighting to make sure that the walls, the perimeters, the car parks, and so on, the loading bay is properly well lit. You keep doors, windows, and areas locked, particularly internal doors, so that you don't have those persons secreting themselves to do some overnight activity or riot thing in your business. You invest in electronic security systems. I can't stress that enough, right? Today, in today's age, you want to use that technology to your benefit. So we have systems now that report into apps and devices and so on. So you could be at home and monitoring your business, monitoring what happens, who comes, who goes, what time they come, what time they go. You can allow entry on certain things from your wherever you are remotely in the world. All right. So we want to be able to, bring these systems and these things to you. There's a general awareness that you would want to pass to your staff, particularly now when we're living in a time of all sorts of uncertainties and so on. We want you to know, or your staff to know, the very basic things that they need to follow to keep themselves safe, to keep you safe and your thing. We want you to look at your hiring practices and the vetting of staff. A lot of times we just hire people off the streets. We don't know where they come from, what type of activity they've been involved in, who they've probably been victimizing before coming to you. So we kind of urge you, you may not do it for every level staff, but certainly most of the key areas, and almost every area in your business is key. From the person who's opening up one morning, who is handling the cash, who is depositing your bag, in some cases people do that, to the person who's in charge of your stock or driving your company vehicles. Everyone is important. So get accustomed to vetting them, at least validating who they are, where they come from, what history they may have. And in cases where you hire people who have had a history, as in some cases, a lot of people do, we want you to be sure that they've been vouched for by a representative body, like Vision on a Mission and so on, that would send people for people to hire and so on. Okay? You want to conduct proper security risk assessments and continuous assessments of your property. The threat changes daily. We have to be able to keep our intelligence or ear to the ground to identify what is happening and what we can do as business owners to minimize that risk to us, in spite of the fact that the threat may have changed. Okay, so that's a continuous process as well. In all things, we teach you how to be alert. We tell you how to report suspicious vehicles, how to report people, how to identify people, how to give descriptions and so on. So we kind of walk you through that process quite easily. It's important when you're reporting, especially to the police. The police would want to know the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who did it? What happened? When it happened? Where exactly did it happen? Why you feel it may have happened, or why it happened to you, kind of thing, and explain exactly how it happened. So the police will get a good sense of what they're dealing with, who they're dealing with, and of course it would inform what direction the vehicle went, what type of vehicle it was, and all that stuff, so that they can help bring some kind of resolve to the report or the situation that you're reporting. Okay, so those are some of the things that the police would want to know. The program, again, which serves to help the police in tracking down criminals. A lot of the time, active watch groups have led the police to exactly where the criminal is hiding, exactly where the vehicle passed, exactly the description of the vehicle. And even if they change number plates, sometimes you're in a position to identify the different vehicles that may have been swapped or changed along the route, particularly if you have persons monitoring and observing. All right. Here we put a big emphasis on cameras, residential or business camera systems that can trap and log information for a few days well. So certainly when we recap and we're looking for a vehicle, it's easy to pull it up and see what or who and certain information around that vehicle. Of course, we talked about the phone tree, the WhatsApp, the CSafe app. We mentioned Zello, and Zello is really a walkie-talkie app where simply you download it and it allows you to broadcast information that all the other members will hear. And you only do that really with emergency situations. Help, 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 there's a problem in my yard. Or 2 men in the yard and so on. And once you send that broadcast to the 50 people on the chat, whether they're sleeping, whether the phone is blank screen or not, that voice will come over and we will know that you are under some kind of distress or duress. And of course, if that is the only thing that you're able to send out, we know exactly who you are, so we can send the appropriate response your way. All right, so those things work as opposed to sending a WhatsApp and hoping someone looks at their WhatsApp to see it. All right, so the WhatsApp has its place, but certainly for real emergencies where you can just send off a message like that, we expect you to share that within the group. Nothing replaces a call to the police if it's a 999 life-threatening real-time situation in progress. But certainly after you send that message off to the police and you give them all the information required, you would want to share that information quickly with other members of the group, not a day later, not 2 days later, because somebody will be able to pull up a tape or some footage and tell you where the person went and pass that information to the police. And that's the value, that's one of the values of this group. Okay, and of course it increases the unity. You know, that's some who are the people in your neighborhood, Once we come together and we do that, we are now unified to treat with situations that threaten our peace of mind or safety, and in some cases our sanity. All right, so those are some of the key values. Of course, information sharing is a work in progress. When you share among yourselves along the business trip, everyone gets to know to look out for this guy, because he walks into the store, he distracts the attendant while somebody else, steals the items off the rack. Okay, once we have those pictures and we share it along the strip, every business now know who they're looking for. So you have all those eyes and ears looking out for that kind of modus operandi, for that kind of scenario, for those kind of people. So the reality is, those criminals only get to do that once, to the first person they victimize. After that, they'll be caught. All right, and that's one of the values. Of course, the businesses will then share to the police, so the police now know who to look out for and take certain actions. The police will also share information that business groups share with them to other businesses that they need to look out for the same thing. It might be a different business group, a different district, but that's how it's shared along them. And of course, from police to police, in all the police type meetings and the briefings and so on, they share the information of who to look out for, what type of crime is taking place in a particular district, and they are better able to now put little strategies in place to nip that crime where it starts. Okay, so those are the kind of synergized response we get once we come together. And of course, between the police, the business community, Crime Stoppers, which is a pivotal role in all of this, for persons who don't feel safe enough to report it to the police, right? We have the CSAFE program that ties in knot around all of those activities to make sure that we can safely report information. As in the neighborhood watch groups, the businesses can put up signage and broadcast that they have active neighborhood business watch groups in effect. So we encourage that as well. And there are a whole host of other things that we can do, right? Whether it's the air horns, again, to raise the immediate alarm to the other communities, whether it's to signal a particular kind of horn that might be on a street for the whole business trip to get, whether it's a silent alarm and so on. There's a myriad amount of services available that would make you build resilience within your business. But none of this have any meaning unless you are willing to take that step not to become a victim. You have to be able to do it because no one else but you can really keep you safe, right? The police is there, but we have already said that the police can't be everywhere at once. So when something is happening, chances are you are the person who is the first line of defense, and we'll talk about that in the next couple of slides, what you can do in your own individual capacity. But certainly as businesses, we want you to come together to make yourself feel safe. And this, of course, would require some effort and some thought on your part to make that choice. Okay, so you'll have numbers at the end of all the slides, right? Keep with us. We have a little while again to go, where we can get into it. So now this is where you bring your children. Make sure they're listening in. Show the image up onto the big screen. Get the popcorn and sit down attentively to take into some of these tips. It's not exhaustive. It's not, it's not all that I can say, but it's certainly enough to when we finish this session, at least you should be in a better frame of mind about how to protect yourself. So first off, we need to understand that awareness is a key thing to personal safety. And that type of awareness, it is your first line of defense. We often tell people that you must project that kind of force presence, meaning you're walking bold, you're walking brave, your head is upright, you're projecting that image as if everything is well, you're focused in terms of what you're doing, as opposed to walking with your head in the phone, or you're driving in some cases with your head in the phone, and you're unawares of what is happening in and around you. Okay, that is where you have a sign saying rob me every single time. So we want you to understand that that is your first line of defense, right? Most people think about, kicking to the ground and think, a lot of people feel that defense is about what you can do when you're in a situation, but that is after the fact. Sometimes all of that could be avoided once you are aware of your situation, aware of your surroundings and so on. Okay, and aware of yourself simply means you need to understand what might be your limitations, because some of us have limitations, right? Some of us may have handicaps. Some of us may be nearsighted, and that's a limitation to some extent. All right. So once you know what is your condition, what might be your limitations, you need to understand how you can treat with that to better protect yourself. You have to be fully aware of your surroundings. And being aware of your surroundings means you have to have a 360 almost degree view of everything, whether it's glancing back or looking as wide as possible to the left, to the right, up and down, to see what is in your way, what is in your path. You cannot do that on a cell phone. You cannot do that with earphones in the air where you're not hearing the natural songs around you. Okay, so we always ask people to use your senses, all of them, when you're walking, when you're driving, so that you're thoroughly alert. You have to be aware of your potential attackers and what might be some of their likely strategies, because all of that informs where you walk, where you pass, what time of day, what time of night, and all of these things. And that is, of course, to avoid the element of surprise. Once you are surprised, I tell people it's too late. The only thing you can do at that point in time when the criminal is already up in your face with a weapon pointing at you, give them your wallet, give them your car keys, and the best you can do is take a good description of what they are, what they're wearing, and what direction of travel or vehicle they left in. Do not try to be a hero, especially if you don't have the element of surprise on your side, okay? And you can only do that by being aware. Now I could stop here, because that is about the key to everything that we're going to say. There are about 9 other slides that have no meaning unless you are prepared to make yourself fully aware of your surroundings and everything that is happening in your area. Okay? Now, the second thing I want you to do is use your 6 senses. Your 6th sense, sorry. And you know, we know 5 senses: see, sight, smell, touch, you know, we know the 5 senses. This 6th sense is what we call your gut, your instinct. All right? A lot of people don't use or exercise this muscle, this sense at all. Right? Some of us make good decisions, some of us get married and so on, following our gut, you know, but certainly the ones who didn't still don't know how to use it, still don't know how to be guided by it. But it's a real thing. A lot of the times your intuition is your subconscious that tells you what you can do to evade a potential harmful situation. So you want to follow that gut and of course learn to trust it at times. It never leads you wrong. The third thing we want to look at, and you notice I'm going a little bit faster in the interest of time here. The third thing you want to look at is understand that escape is always your best option. If you can avoid a situation altogether, why bother to confront it in the first place? So you're walking down the street, you see 2 guys looking very suspicious, and I don't need to tell you how that feels because your gut should tell you as well. Okay? You see 2 guys walking towards you, looking very suspicious. You continue walking and they're almost flanking you on either side. What do you do now that you know? Do you keep going in that direction? Do you keep walking towards them, grab your handbag and hope for the best? Or do you cross the street, turn around, walk away in the opposite direction? So I'm telling you now that the best option sometimes is to evade, escape, avoid altogether. And wherever that is possible, then I would like you to do that for me. All right? Now, it's easy to know if somebody's up to no good sometimes, because if you see someone come in and you just cross the road and you notice that their actions and motions suggest that they want to follow you almost, it tells you that you would have done the right thing. What I ask a lot of people to do is wherever you're going, whether you're driving or walking, always remember where you pass and what I will call a safe haven. So if you're walking along some stores and so on a street, remember where the police station might have been, the fire station. Remember where the department store that is crowded was. Remember where there's an officer or a police officer or some guard or some, you know, you name it, traffic warden, whatever it is. Remember what you pass so that you would know whether it's to continue going in the direction of the threat or whether you can go back 2 doors down and step into safety in a department store until the threat passes. Okay, so that's important. Run away, scream for help if you feel it's right upon you. Throw a rock, throw something, if you know, if it's at a car or a window. Draw attention to yourself. Do whatever it takes to attract attention. A lot of the persons that I've come into contact with, because I do a lot of these sessions in businesses and so on, and I always ask my participants to scream for me, and you'll be surprised. They cannot even do that, scream, right? Or for a good scream to save their life one day. So I always, let the lung, burst it out, scream, shout for help, draw attention to yourself, and do it in the loudest possible tone that you can. Because one day you will need it, you may need it to draw attention to yourself. Okay? So you want to be able to do that, but of course, if the attacker is on the phone, and if you need to be able to understand that there are things that you can do to throw it, let them take what they want, and of course run away if need be, right? And avoid at all costs going with the attacker. Shout, scream, kick, do whatever you need to, because we sometimes often know where that story ends. Whether they pull it into the bush or they pull it into a vehicle, we want to try to avoid going with the attacker at all costs. All right? Bear in mind, you have a right to fight. And I put that up there simply because a lot of us feel that it's just, give up your wallet and so on. But some people at their home, especially where they have the advantage, and it's not that they're surprising you, you have an advantage. So you have already done some predisposed things that your family know to do when they're at the home, or when you're at your business, or whatever it might be. So I want you to understand that if the opportunity presents itself, and particularly if you have the upper hand, and you feel that your life is in immediate danger, or that of your family, and you can subdue the person or take some actions that will be able to cause no harm or threat to you, then you have a right to do that in protection of yourself. Of course, especially if you carry a firearm and other things, you have to be careful, because the law is very, the law is iffy where it comes to what you might think is right and what you might think is lawful and what the law sees as right and lawful. So the threat, you must not, go, a guy coming to you with a straw and you hit him a shot in his chest. All right, I just draw that extreme to let you know that, of course, you have to be mindful of the threat. Somebody cannot be threatening you with a cutlass across the 4-lane highway and you take action against that person, especially when you could have turned and walk or even run away before they even have a chance to catch up with you. Okay, so I'm just putting it in those extremes so you understand when you say you have a right to fight, what we mean by that. It is important that you understand how you can and should defend yourself, and we're gonna just mention some of those things very briefly if we have time this afternoon. All right, use the element of surprise to your advantage. Sometimes a quick strike might be able to do the job, and again, we need to know where those points are to strike. All right, so again, you have to be mindful of what is possible and what is doable. But of course, if you're not equipped, if you're not trained, then you can't do anything. All right. I mentioned this slide in here because home invasions are something the police is seeing a lot of. All right, and this is simply where this is not where they take away your HGC house and occupy it and so on. The home invasion is where this particular description I want to give you is where persons come into your home and they spend a little time there, and whilst there, they literally do it when the last person is coming in. Or they may come in during the day when auntie, tanty, babysitter, somebody's at home, and they know that they wait until you come at home later in the night. And when you get home, they now have access to your bank card, your credit card, the PIN, the vehicle you're driving, and the paintings on the wall, and the electronics, and your cell phones, you name it. And they load it all into the vehicle and drive off. They sometimes go to the ATM and make withdrawals and all of those things. And that's the home invasion that I'm talking about, where they know that nobody else is expected after 6 or 7, and you and them alone home, so to speak. All right? So we want you to be mindful of this. And of course, the evasive steps that you're going to take is to make sure that you never, ever open your door unless you are certain who is on the other side. So for instance, you see a mail delivery, whether the person looking like they belong to one of those courier companies, whether the person looking like they belong to one of your utilities, whether in this election time, whether they're looking as if they belong to a party or whatever it is, please do not open the door. Do not open your gate. Do not stop and wind down your glass unless you're absolutely sure that it's safe to do so. All right? And similarly, you may not be home, but your auntie, tanty, visitor, guest, somebody might be home, babysitter may be home, and they will open the door and invite because you didn't share this information with them. So I'm asking you now to make sure and educate all those persons who operate in your home, who operate in your business, wherever it might be, to be very mindful how you open your doors and so on. Nothing is wrong with cracking a window and say, "Excuse me, who are you?" "Well, I'm here from so-and-so company to deliver a parcel to you." "Which company?" Okay, you make a phone call, you confirm whether or not something is really expected or not, or you tell the person, okay, bring the parcel to the door, go back to the gate and lock yourself outside. And then you crack the door, grab the parcel, sign the package, put the receipt outside the door, and then invite them to pick it back up again. Nothing is wrong with that. It's the long way around, but the objective has been achieved. You get your package safely. All right. So there are things that you can do that does not draw attention to yourself or bring persons unnecessarily into your home. What people do as well is that they jump into the vehicle when you stop by the vegetable man, put a gun to your head and tell you drive, go home. So the person is coming home with you in your vehicle. So whether you live in a gated community, the gate opens wide. Whether you have keys, you unlock your house and so on. So the person comes home with you into the house. And again, the steps you will take is to be mindful of where you stop, how you get into your vehicle, and all of these things to make sure that nobody gets in unwarranted. Never trust strangers, no matter how professional. Those people who clean your glass when you stop at traffic lights, the vendors who stop and knock on your glass and offer your thing, and be careful. Some of them you may know, so it's safe if you want to say that. But the ones that you don't know, that this order over the night that this person is selling nuts and so on, you have to be mindful of all of these things. All right. Have a safe room at your home, and the safe room doesn't have to be one with bricks and concrete and steel doors and all, like a real panic room. It could be that one room that you can get into, put an extra lock or so to deadbolt it from the inside. In there, you have access to a telephone, water, everything in case you have to bunk out for a couple hours. But at least you know that you have a room where the person can't, even though you may have gotten to the house through a window or door, they can't get you and your family because you have recessed into this room that is a little safer than everywhere else in the house. Okay, so identify those areas and you create the drills around it to make sure that your family and so can get to it. The same in your business, right? A lot of people have saved themselves from harm when they identify perpetrators breaking in or rushing in, and they just quickly retreat to what they consider a safe room, lock the doors, and they're safe inside until the person leaves. And of course, there you can call the police and someone help and assistance. All right. So you also ask you to set up some kind of code with your family. So when you're making that call at night or at evening to come home, they know that it's a call that really asking you, is it safe to come home? And you could develop that. I wouldn't say it here because I really don't know who's listening, but please develop something where you and your family know that as a safe code to know that it's okay, I'm in no harm, I'm not under duress, and whatever it might take. All right, so we wanted to do that. When driving, of course, especially if you're traveling by taxi and so on, kind of get to know your taxi drivers. A lot of people operate in areas where they have no choice but to take a PH taxi, and not all the general bona fide H taxi, right? Then, of course, take what you have to take, but be careful. Sometimes we ask people to take a photo. You're taking photos of all kind of selfies and different things. Take a selfie of you getting into the vehicle with the vehicle number, whatever you can get, so that your friend or your family who you're sending that to before you sit down know that I'm about to enter this vehicle. The time is X, and I'm sitting in this vehicle, and I estimate about a 30-minute journey home. If anything happens to me and I don't get home by 35 or I don't send you another text to say I've left safely, then you need to worry. Okay, so some people do that just as a precaution. Now I recall, I was doing one of the programs and a driver really said that somebody actually took a picture of him and his thing, even his taxi badge, so to speak. And he was very adamant with the person, with the young lady when she was leaving. Listen, you took a picture of me entering the vehicle and sent it to somebody. Now, please take a picture of me waving to you leaving the vehicle safely, because I don't know what would happen to you when you get up in that truck. Okay, so the person was adamant that he wanted the same photo taken so that he isn't left holding the bag, so to speak, literally. Okay, so you want to be sure that you take precautions, document the vehicle number, even write it down, whatever it is, share it, text it, whatever, so that people know what is taking place. Be wary of if the driver picks up other passengers. So you may go and sit down in the corner or at an end opposite to the driver or behind the driver, a safe spot in the vehicle, but somebody comes and sandwich you in. Sometimes there's nothing you could do about it. Some people get out and say, I'm coming out just now, just so that they are not boxed into the middle. Whatever it takes for you to do. I know that some people actually still drive are paying for the middle seat just because they don't want to be boxed in 10 o'clock at night, where they have no control over trying to escape or getting out. So there are a lot of things that you can do to help protect yourself and safeguard yourself from being boxed in. All right. In terms of carjacking, we encourage you all to lock your doors. Some people who smoke, a lot of times you see people vaping on the glass down and you're on the highway or the side streets, and they pull up at a light or stop behind a vehicle, and you have access to the car, the passenger seat, a handbag maybe on the, you normally would put your handbag on the ground, just on the front seat, on the passenger side, or on some people put it on the driver's seat again. So all of these habits are things that you must not do. Right? Always put away bags and so on. If you have laptops and book bags and briefcases and so on, I advise you to lock it in your trunk, even before you leave work, so it's safe in there, as opposed to being exposed on a seat, because who knows, you may want to stop to go and get a couple items in the supermarket or by the vegetable vendor, and you take care of your vehicle with your purse exposed on the front seat or the back seat, and of course, you open yourself up to, even if you have no money in the vehicle, they still put you in expense for a $1,000 glass, okay? Or in some cases, depend on the car, $4,000 or $5,000. All right. So we want to be mindful of all of these things, right? Most carjacking takes place when vehicles are stopped at an intersection, right? So you have to be mindful of where you stop, how you stop. I always encourage people, when you stop, try to ensure that you see the bumper of the car in front of you. Once you can see the bumper, the number plate, some people actually do it where they can see the wheel, the rear wheels of the vehicle. All of that is fine, because it means that once you can see those things, you're at a safe distance. So if you need to pull out, if that vehicle tries to box you in, you have enough room to pull out. Please don't go so close up to a vehicle that you can't pull out without reversing and back and forth. Okay? So it's important that we look at all those things. Criminals normally approach vehicles at an angle, and they know that blind spot angle in your side mirrors. Okay? So you need to be mindful of that kind of angling that the criminals would do. And I want you to adjust your mirrors now so that they are picking up all these spots. And that's basically simple. You set your mirrors to see the length of your vehicle as you normally would do. But in this case, once you've set the rear view and the side mirrors perfectly to see along the length of the vehicle and a little bit of the road, right? What you want to do is then tilt your head to the right. Once you tilt your head to the right, and you see what I just did? This is how you set your mirrors, and you can see that peripheral view. You tilt your head to the right and you adjust it out a little more. Because tilting to the right means you're giving yourself a few more degrees to the right. Okay? Which will almost come in line with if you were to look out your side window. That's what we're trying to achieve. And you do the same thing to the left, you set the mirrors and you tilt to the left. And that will give you a wider angle. And of course, what you don't see in your rear view, you will see in the side mirrors. And what you don't see in the side mirrors, you look the 180 degrees to your left, to your right, and ahead of you. Okay? So that's the way to get the best peripheral view when you're driving, so you're able to see as much as you can see all the way around the vehicle. Of course, if you have things obstructing you, like your cell phone and all these other things that some people put up in certain areas, then of course you would not be able to get an advantage. All right? Of course, there are some other things. Keep a cell phone in your car at all times. Keep it charged. Make sure it's on. Bluetooth or earphones, whatever it is, make sure you can quickly think. Have friends and people on speed dial, right? Be wary of anyone who asks you to stop or who tries to get you to stop. If you're stalled, be wary of people who come in to help you as well, right? I always encourage people to have some duct tape and some rope and some things. Now, these are things that could be used against you, but your bumper fall off, you might have a car that is, there's time to make a change and the bumper dragging a drop or so. You have duct tape in your vehicle, you quickly take the duct tape, tear it, you can stick that bumper up and it will get you home, as opposed to having a bumper that's slow and you're trying to figure out how I'm going to screw this up or fix it late at night. Right? There's some quick fixes that duct tape will do, and of course, you have those things in there, so it comes to your aid when the time comes. Like I said, it could also be a double-edged sword, depending on how you operate. Okay, let a close friend or relative know the license plate and the destination. Keep your purse, briefcase, packages in the trunk. People who rent cars, long ago you used to have rental cars, all of them was R, is a clear signal that you're a renter. So, we don't want to people, once renters are driving, sometimes they don't know the areas, they have a map operating and so on. So all of these things draw attention to yourself. Those are the things that says, rob me, If you are not from the area or are lost, don't ask a stranger for directions. A lot of us, including myself, have been a victim of using Waze and Google Maps, where sometimes it takes you into very strange areas, almost like the shortest way there. And sometimes, especially at night, the shortest way there may take you through some very dangerous terrain that you would not normally pass even in the daytime. Okay, so I want you all to be careful, those of us who are following directions, to be mindful that sometimes these road maps take you to very strange areas. There are settings that you can do that would make you take not the fastest route necessary, but the longest route if need be, so that it doesn't take you through all these shortcuts and byways to get to where you're going. All right, so a lot of us find ourselves in some very strange areas driving, and it leads out, yes, but it will take you to some very strange areas. All right, so be careful using Waze and Google Maps and so on, especially when taking directions at night. If you're followed, stay on the busiest streets, do not drive to your home. And I say that because we always tell people, your home may not be the safest place to go if you're being followed. Simply because when you get home, you live alone, you have to open a big heavy iron gate, it might be padlocked and so on. And time is not on your side if you're being followed truly. Okay, so you would want again to find that safe haven that you would have identified somewhere along the road, a fire station, a police station, some busy mall, some area that you can pull in and literally run into the arms of help. All right, so you must have those places in mind based on your route home and to work and all these things. Honk your horn, flash your lights, draw attention to yourself if need be. All right, create a scene, and you notice I put create a scene Trini style. We know how to do that Trini style. All right, so we want to be able to draw attention. While I'm talking about safety, I just want to touch on this. I mean, there are a lot of things that we do that put ourselves at risk in the open, but there's a whole lot of children, especially now that they're home, it's vacation time, COVID time, and so on. A lot of us put ourselves at risk by the things we do on the internet in cyberspace. So never give out your name, your password, your personal information online. In some cases, some people say, oops, too late, because they've already done that, they've already compromised that. Don't send personal information via the internet, Facebook, email, or wherever. You know, I've seen a lot of people doing TikTok videos. And in the TikTok videos, I'm seeing the alarm, I'm seeing the type of alarm that's there, I'm seeing the type of windows, I'm seeing keys hanging up behind the door, I'm seeing all sorts of different things in these TikTok videos that people are doing. And you know, we tend to know who you are after a while because we also go to your Facebook page and we can track you down. So I'm encouraging people, especially the homeowner now, the mother and father who have these children doing these videos in your house. They pick up a lot of valuable information, valuable intel about what the inside of your home looks like, a lot of information about the type of cars you drive, because they often do things inside the vehicles as well. And there are information that you wouldn't want your best friend knowing sometimes, but the whole of the internet now sees these videos and inside your home. So you need to be mindful of what you post and what you do. Some people actually say, mommy not at home, daddy not at home, they wouldn't be back for the next 6 hours. That's good information for the criminal to know, you don't think so? So we need to be careful what we post and what we do and be mindful. Again, some of us, we go to parties and what we do is we buy the ticket in advance, right? And pretty soon that time will be coming up again. So we buy the ticket in advance and we post it on Facebook and Instagram. So we have tickets to go this boat cruise and so on, so date. On the night of the boat cruise, we take pictures in the outfit and so on, stepping on board. So the whole of the internet and the whole of Facebook and Instagram know that you're on a boat cruise out in Chaguaramas waters. Probably they know you live alone because your status might say that for all you know. So right now they know that there's an empty house there, or there's a young lady coming back home at midnight, 2 in the morning from a boat ride, probably drunk. You understand how much information you put out there? Nothing is wrong with going to the boat cruise, having a good time, and when you get back, post all the pictures, be as generous as you want with the pictures at that point in time. It's after the fact, nobody on Instagram or Facebook will know the difference. All right, so it's important that we think about those things before we put things on the internet. Avoid breaches by changing the password regularly and memorizing it. Of course, we had an idea of some weak passwords before and the strong type of passwords that you can use that would be doing the same thing, but it might be easy for you to remember. Never forget the face-to-face with someone you've met online, right? So we never agree to face-to-face. A lot of us meet people online and we have these engagements with them as if we know them all our lives. Because they post, they tell us things, they've put a lot of fake information out there. None of it could be true. In fact, the picture and all probably bogus. All right. there's numerous instances of that online where there's been human trafficking and other types of crimes taking place, right? Child pornography and you name it, where people set up bogus accounts, operate bogus profiles, and we fall for it. So please, mothers, fathers, get a sense of what your children are doing, right? I know there are some parents who want to be on the Facebook page, but even that, they'll have a Facebook page for mommy and a Facebook page for their friends. So be sure you're on the right one, right? Because you never could tell what they're doing, all right? Never respond to messages from unfamiliar persons, never give out your information, your data, and so on. And we could go on and on and on with things that are necessary to do in cyberspace, but please follow these simple little steps, right? And you'll be at least in a position to prevent yourself from being victimized, especially using credit card information and so on online, all right? So when you're looking at self-defense training, we always advise that you get some type in the Neighborhood Crime Watch program. We have opportunities where people can avail themselves to this kind of training that might be necessary, right? We take into consideration how we strike and where the vulnerable areas and so on. So we prepare you for real life situations. We teach you how to get out of duct tape, tie straps, how to get out of trunks and vehicles and so on. How many of you all today, well, I can't see your hands, know how to escape from your vehicle? If you're following us online and you want to make that comment and so on, if you know how to escape if you're placed in the trunk of your vehicle, all right? And that is something you need to know. Please, if you are a driver of a vehicle and you don't know how to open the trunk from on the inside, you need to go and do it now. You need to go and learn it now. Now, mind you, the disclaimer is, do not go and lock yourself in the trunk if you live alone and say, Carmichael send you. Please, all right? It's important that you have somebody there with the keys that could open the trunk in case you can't figure it out. But it's best that you figure it out from being outside of the trunk first to see what mechanism causes that thing to move. And there are a lot of things that we can teach you, and I wouldn't do it online, but there are a lot of things that we can tell you that will make you prepare yourself should in the event something like that happen to you, okay? So you look at all of those things. And never be overly confident. So in summary, and I'll just end with this, always have a plan. Know what to do if danger or dangerous situation presents itself, right? If current were to go at your home, I am sure that some of you all know how to feel your way around. Feel your way around, get to the cabinet or the place where you have the candles, feel into the drawer in the kitchen or wherever you have the matches or the lighter, right? And you can, in the dark, light the candle and bring some kind of light. The ideal thing is to have some flashlights faster, right? So you want to be able to do that. And same way you're able to have that plan of action if something were to happen. I want you to develop the same plan. If this happens here, this is what I do. If this happens here, this is what I do. And you have those plans and you share that information with the members in your home so that you're all on the same page in terms of how you respond to a particular type of threat, so that there's no surprises if something were to happen. You don't get caught on the back foot, so to speak, and you're able to fend off whatever comes your way because there's a plan. It's important to have some kind of plan, all right? Think safety, and I want you to know that danger exists. Don't walk around as if you have some kind of protection over you. Most of us wish we have, some of us have, and so on. And you know, that is good, but even with the protection, the criminals come at you anyways. So I want you to always think safety, know that danger exists, and you conduct yourself, you change the way you've been doing it all of these years, right? And you do it differently, please, right? Especially having been exposed to this session here this evening, all right? Think differently and know that danger exists. Realize that you can become a victim. No one is immune from attack, from danger. And of course, what you do is you minimize your risk by presenting yourself as a softer, not as a softer, but as a harder target. Okay, so we teach you to harden yourself and be more resilient. So you want to be able to do that, use your good judgment and be able to identify persons, situations as suspicious. Okay, use that sixth sense that we talk about, the instinct. If something feels wrong, it probably is. All right, so follow your sixth sense, follow your instinct, and of course, a lot of the teachings that you've had here this evening. All right, so I want to thank you very much. You've been certainly a good audience this evening. It's 7:36 p.m., so we're in good time. At this point, of course, some people may have had questions. I would only know if I go into my phone here and look at some of the questions that may have been sent. Let me see if there are any. Okay, I don't see any questions just yet. So if there are any questions, it will be sent over. Okay, hold on. I'm seeing some, so I have to put on my eyes now. All right. So how would you recommend receiving a neighborhood watch group? Sorry, how would you recommend reviving a neighborhood watch group? Okay, that's simple. To revive a neighborhood watch group, all we want you to be able to do is make contact with us. The number you can use to do that is 312. The number is up on the screen here now, 312-2281, right? Or you can contact us via the email address dcarmichael@communitydefense.com. Send an email, send an information, send a WhatsApp, whatever it is. Let us know who you are, what group it is, and we'll be happy to walk you through the process to get you to there. Once you have a few neighbors who are like-minded, you can start and revamp the group. All right? We will come and we'll attend and we'll tell you to do and so. My family suffered a robbery 2 years ago. The perpetrator was in the house unknown to everyone, monitoring us. How do you deal with this? Well, I would have touched on some of that. You try to find a way to understand, and this is a good question, try to understand whether your house or your business had been, how to put it, tampered with. So I mean, in some cases, some people do some very simple things. If somebody breaks into your house, chances are they're going to interfere with something, they're going to move around some stuff and so on. If you know how you left your house, providing you're not an untidy person, even when you crack the door, you can glance quickly. Because if an intruder is in the house, chances are they already started to pack away things, like your video, I say video cassette recorder, that's all I am, right? Your DVR and your DVD, sorry, or your TV or your laptop or some electronic device or your radio or whatever it might be. Sometimes they take food and start to eat and prepare meals for themselves, so you see the kitchen untidy and so on. Sometimes they give off an odor. And if your nose are attuned and your senses are working well, you may be able to smell this foul odor. It could be rubbish that you left in the garbage, but as well it could be somebody who is in your house. So you look for signs and symbols that something is amiss. If you have a dog that normally runs to you, that runs to the gate, that is inside the house, that would run to the front door and be barking ferociously until you get in, right? But you don't hear the dog, you don't see the dog, then something is wrong. Don't just assume it's sleeping at the back. So all of these things should be enough for you to raise enough suspicion in yourself, follow your gut, and find some other way to bring somebody else or even the police in some instances, depending on what you observe, and be in a position to deal with that. Okay? But there's an easy way as well. You can simply install a good working alarm or camera system, and from your mobile device, you can hear when the intrusion takes place. You can see and confirm that there's a predator on premises, and of course, you can initiate some action to get a response or call the police. So that's a short answer, but there are other things that you could have done to deal with that. In relation to persons or businesses, how can we safeguard ourselves better or better identify suspicious persons if they need to be reported in light of recommendations? Okay, so this question is just a short question. Persons are now called upon based on the COVID-19 regulations to wear a mask. And a lot of businesses exercise that. And yes, there have been some businesses and so on that have expressed a lot of concern about whether or not the criminal is now will be able to disguise themselves behind this mask. And the answer is yes, it's quite possible. But nothing about the mask takes away from the type of behaviors that the criminal will exhibit when they enter and so on. When they enter, first of all, they may remain outside, parked in a very, they'll pull up and drop off, and then they'll pull around, make the turn and park in a very getaway-ish, using those kind of language for you all, sorry. They will be positioned in the vehicle to get away easily. Okay? If there may be 2 or 3 of them entering the premises, maybe all at once or individually. Okay? Yes, they're wearing the mask or a bandana in some instances that some stores have accepted. You look for the bulbs under their clothing if need be. You look for the person who would come in and walk all around the store as if they're, trying to think, and then they're circling basically. If you have a security person or some other person, one of them will come close and stand next to this person or try to be in a position that when they announce the robbery, they can quickly subdue the officer. So those are symbols you look out for. What a lot of them do is that they pretend to be on the phone. Is a way of calming themselves because they're nervous, but there are some times as well that they actually on the phone because the person on the outside is telling them if the police or some other type of threat to them is coming. So there are numbers symptoms that you see and you can identify in advance of the person actually perpetrating what could be a robbery. All right. So nothing about the mask takes away from those actions or those behaviors, the nervous tension that they experience and so on. And of course, you follow your gut again, depending on what you see and what you observe. Okay, so at that point, you may need to have a safe room or so, or if your protocol is that you hand over whatever it is, then you do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, follow instructions and that type of thing. Are watch groups able to operate in real time to identify a suspect or report a crime? How do we in groups guarantee quicker responses? Well, there's nothing as real as being precautious, as being observant, as being aware. That's as real as you're gonna get. And what happens is a lot of the groups, and I would have shared some slides in the last presentation of communities that would have shared information about vehicles that were circling the community. They had the picture blown up, they had the number plate and the activity properly well recorded. That was shared to the entire group. And all along the roadway or the community, other persons with cameras would have taken snapshots. Some people from their mobile phones take pictures from the safety of their kitchen window and so on, of the activity throughout the neighborhood until that vehicle left. Oftentimes, because of the awareness that they have and the information shared, and some police being on the chat in real time, they actually send patrols that intercepted the vehicle to find out exactly what they're doing in here and what business they have. But at the same time, by sharing the information and being proactive, there are some people who will come on and say, oh, sorry, that's my electrician. He's a little bit early, but he's awaiting my arrival. So we get to vet and validate and clear that vehicle so we know it's safe to proceed. Okay? So there are a number of things that we can do, and that's the proactive, preemptive stuff. Now, if crime is in progress, then you have no choice. Call the police, go on the app, report it online, whatever you need to do. But you need to summon the E999 or the rapid response, the rapid patrol vehicles to come to your aid. There's nothing the neighborhood watch could do except monitor the activity, share the information. They themselves will pull their children inside, lock their doors, and be observant as best as they can because there's a real life threat in the community. All right, so those are the kind of things that you will do, that we expect you to do and follow. All right, so those are the questions I have, at least for now. And certainly I want to thank you all. You've been a good audience. We hope to continue this kind of information sharing. Please feel free to call our number so that you can get and schedule the neighborhood watch meetings, the business groups. We can get together and do similar within your communities and be able to share valid and vital information. Okay, up next in the series, which is tomorrow, to be precise, at 6 p.m., we can look forward to an enlightening presentation by, this is on coping with COVID-19, and they're treating with it from the financial impact of COVID-19 on the society. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see ways and means by which we can cope by the expert presenters, as always. All of this courtesy of the National Crime Prevention Program, keeping our communities and families safe. We want to thank you very much. It's been a pleasure for me being here on behalf of JC Small as well, Sergeant Small. We thank you for your attendance, and certainly I want you to share. The video will come out on Facebook. In case someone missed it, please share it with them, with your loved ones, so they can at least benefit from the information, even though it's after the fact. Thank you very much. I turn over to the producer now to end. Thank you very much.